here. J.R. Shepard dives down to the inside, trying to see if he's able to get a little bit of that tack that Brandon Proudfoot has been getting up at the front of the field. 10 laps to go here at Port Royal.
Yeah, definitely not making a huge ground here on Brian. Brian's able to maintain that gap.
It's Justin Morton back into second with J.R. Shepard somehow taking over the lead. I have no idea.
These guys, you see Scott kind of using up all that momentum. Got to enter the corner wide. I expect him to kind of cut back low. See lap car down on the inside. George overshoots the corner. Scott puts that car just where he needs to on the middle. It's going to be a drag race through the kick. Thomas George gets loose. Scott Eckridge has the opportunity to come home with a win right now. Side-by-side drag race.
Oh, wow.
Scott Eckridge, 5/1000ths of a second.
We are live here tonight for the next episode of the National Sprint Car Trail. We have got non-wing sprint cars here at the Lucas Oil Speedway. One of my favorite tracks. You can run high, you can run low. Tonight we are going to watch a battle of the best here. James Tiernan, who has one of the best throttle controls that I've seen of anywhere here tonight, is also the fastest on the track.
Okay, all right. We'll just go from the top. Sorry, my Discord just died. Another week down in the new year, and another race lined up for the BRL National Sprint Car Trail. Tonight we're in Wheatland, Missouri at Lucas Oil Speedway for another great race. Hello and welcome to the Virtual Grip Network and the Bootleg Racing League's National Sprint Car Trail. I'm Austin Belkey, joined in the booth by Chris Davis and Ryan Seneker in the director's seat. Well, Chris, we're here at Lucas Oil Speedway for another race, the third one of tonight. We started off in the Dirt Street Stock Series, and then we went to the Super Late Models, and now we're going to cap it all off here with these non-wing sprints, and these things are an absolute handful.
You know, they really are. I was just starting to say, I love this track. You can run low, you can run high. And one of the big differences with these sprint cars is that once you take the wing off, without that downforce, they drive completely differently. They have so much horsepower. You can pick up so much speed going down the straightaway, but then you got to try and turn the car. And instead of having downforce, not only to push the car down on the track, but with the side dams that the top wing usually provides to help you turn the car, these things, you got to back them in and hope that those rear tires hook up to propel you back down the straightaway. So a lot of throttle control, more so than we saw in the Dirt Super Late Models earlier here tonight. A lot of fun, but these cars, man, they can get out of control in a hurry.
And Chris, I'm not too remiss in saying that these guys are a lot busier around a lap here than you think it looks. They make it look a lot easier than it seems.
Oh, busy. You are turning the wheel left and right almost the entire time. They're twitchy down the straightaway. You go into the turn, you throw it. Sometimes it's loose and you're turning the wheel to the right. The other time, man, if you hit it just right and grab some traction, the next thing you know, your front tires are up in the air like you're a dragster going down the straightaway, popping a big wheelie. And when you got the front tires in the air, you want to know what you're not doing? You are not steering. And that makes it a whole lot different. But speaking of steering, Austin, one of the things about driving these dirt cars is that there's a whole lot of stagger. That is to say, the right rear is taller than the left rear. So in a way, you kind of just point the car with the front tires and steer it with the throttle.
Thanks, Chris. That's going to throw the checkered flag here on practice, which means it's time for these drivers to qualify. And just like all night here in BRL and all of our series, we have a 4-lap averaged qualifying session. So that means it's going to take 4 clean laps here. Those get averaged, and that's the time you take into qualifying. Once you start seeing some drivers on track here, you're going to start to see some colorful bars at the bottom of the screen. The first bar is for Sector 1 underneath the driver's name. That's turns 1 and 2. The second bar is Sector 2. That's turns 3 and 4. A purple bar, like you have underneath Brandon Proudfoot's name, that means it's the fastest time in the entire session of any driver. A green bar means it's a driver's personal best, and a yellow bar is somewhere below both those. Blue bars means that the drivers have not completed that sector yet. You see a lot of guys out there putting down some purple sectors right now. James Tiernan going double purple sector for the fastest lap here. He's certainly on a heater of a qualifying session right now.
And that's really no surprise. James Tiernan was the fastest in practice. But, you know, where these cars differ from what we were watching just a little bit earlier with the Dirt Super Late models is, number one, they don't have any aero downforce whatsoever, really. Number two, the way that the suspension works on these cars with the live axle rear end, they don't have the rear steer that a Dirt Super Late model has. So these cars drive very differently. You have to throw them into the turn, what some people call backing it into the turn, and hope that that rear end hooks up and you shoot down the straightaway when you come off the turn.
See some drivers now finally starting to put down some times. James Tiernan, the first among those drivers, and you've got Brandon Proudfoot in second place. Julian Veladez right behind him. You see Todd Liston, Jason Menda putting down some fast times. Justin Menda out on the track. Justin Morton and Jason Menda out on the track. Jason just putting down some more qualifying times. See Justin Morton out there.
Neither Aiden Young or Spees out on. No, Spees is on the track now. This is going to be a guy to watch. He's super fast in the late models. We'll see what he's got here in the non-wing sprint car.
Aiden Young put down a lap. That's going to put himself fourth overall. You got Brandon Proudfoot second. Julian Veladez actually got up another spot. We'll see what Bruce Jones here. He's out there throwing down some heaters at the moment. Justin Morton still has yet to put down a time. Bruce Jones slots himself into third position.
Yeah, I'm watching Spees. I'm really curious to see how. Look at him back that car in as he drives it down off the bottom of the turn. And Justin Morton out on the track now.
Yeah, we'll see what kind of laps Justin Morton can put down. This should be him wrapping up his qualifying session right here. We'll see if he puts down a lap. He does indeed. Oh, so Morton must have ended up getting a 0x at some point because he should be all done with his laps. But obviously, he hasn't put down a time, so he'll be one of those guys going into the heat number 1, last chance qualifier, as it were, for certain.
And that's important. Justin Morton is a fast guy in almost any car that he gets in, but he's also someone who loves to run the top. I'm guessing, Austin, that he probably brushed the wall at some point, and that's why we don't see a lap time from him.
Yeah, that's a reasonably fair assumption, Chris. I have to think you hit the nail right on the head with that one. We're only about still halfway through the qualifying process still, so we still got a decent amount of time. So it looks like everybody, though, for right now, Joseph Grandy put down some laps. You see James Tiernan out there as well. Lots of guys really just taking advantage of this, as it were, solo practice session, Chris, because you don't really have an opportunity to do that very often here at BRL, is go out on the track and practice all by yourself.
That's right. And, you know, this race here tonight is part of our National Sprint Car Trail, something that is a harken back to USAC and its history of multiple cars, multiple disciplines, multiple tracks. We've had larger fields, and we've had fields around this size. I think tonight here what we're seeing is that these cars are a handful, and some people might have felt a little bit intimidated, which is unfortunate, because one of the things that you know here about the BRL is everybody that comes out here to do clean racing, regardless of just how fast you are.
Yeah, this is just, as I like to call it, it's a big group of friends. That's all we are here. We are competitive with each other, as you expect friends to be, and of course it is racing. I always like to say, as soon as I put the helmet on or get behind the steering wheel, I become a different person, and I think it's true for a lot of people in the league. But at the end of the day, we're all just a bunch of friends having fun, and no other league does it better. than the BRL. You can see a lot of guys, though, taking advantage of this practice session to do some X Games mode stuff.
Yeah, pretty fun to see the pirouettes there. And what you were saying, Austin, is absolutely true. When I put the helmet on, I'm Mr. Aggressive. When I take the helmet off, I'm Mr. Nice.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's going to be the end of qualifying, so now we're going to get into heat number 1. The top 6 drivers automatically advance themselves into the feature event, that being Joseph Grandy qualified on the pole, James Tiernan in 2nd, Brandon Proudfoot 3rd, Steven Spies 4th, Bruce Jones in 5th, Julian Valdez rounds out those 6 cars that automatically advance into the feature event. Now for our 4-car starting grid here, this is heat number 1. This will sort the drivers who get to start from 7th to 10th position. Aiden Young's going to line up on pole, followed by Todd Liston, who starts to his outside. Jason Mendez going to start 3rd behind him, followed by Justin Morton, who qualified back here. And not often we see Justin qualifying tail end Charlie, but that's what happens, Chris, when you just make such a small mishap and you don't put down a qualifying time.
And it might not be such a bad thing. You know what? If I'm Justin Morton, heck, if I'm Aiden Young, who also normally qualifies closer to the front of the field, I might not mind here tonight starting in this heat race that's going to restack the field, because I'm going to get intelligence on what this track is going to be like to start the main event, and I can try out multiple lines, get more time on the track, feel my car out, and be better prepared for the main event than those who went straight to the A main.
That's a great point, Chris. That 3-minute warm-up is certainly going to help give everybody a good idea what's to come, but there's nothing like getting out there on track and get some more seat time. The field follows Aiden Young here to the starting spot. He's going to put his foot on the loud pedal as the green flag waves in the air. Everybody's going to get started off to a great start here. Aiden Young's going to do really well, but look at Todd Liston. He's getting to his outside, getting really closer to taking away that spot. My eyes, though, still on Justin Morton. Oh, that's Liston up into the outside wall.
Yeah, and when we started this race, Jason Mendez looked like he backed off just to let other people go, because I think that's what he's trying to do, is figure out these cars, figure out the track, and then decide what is it he's going to do in the main event to try and make up some position. So smart move, I think, by him, just getting more seat time as Aiden Young controls the field.
Yeah, Aiden Young doing a really good job. And to be fair, Chris, I agree with you completely on that point. I think Jason Mendez very fast down the dirt, no doubt about that. He knows that, but these cars certainly not his forte. So he's just looking back there, trying to see if he can't pick up some notes there, like you mentioned, on these fast guys right out front of his visor here. No windshields on these cars, so you got tear-offs. You got to be mindful when there's a car ahead of you. Right now, even though he's a leader, there's a car ahead of Aiden Young. It looks like he's going to lap him. Yeah, just up the road there. There's Todd Liston.
Yeah, they're catching lap traffic. I don't think that's going to create any much of a challenge there. I fully expect that Todd Liston will give Aiden there plenty of room. But we do have Justin Morton, who's starting to apply some pressure. It looks like Justin Morton wants to say, what is passing going to be like? There's no reason for me not to try to pass you, because I know I'm in the...
He gets too hard, went too wide.
Well, that was a bit more than backing it into the turn. That was almost like backing it out of the turn at that point. But you know what? That's what Justin Morton, I believe, is trying to figure out here with the laps that he's got for this heat race.
And to be fair, I can't really fault him for that. I mean, Jason Mendez 2.5 seconds back behind him, so he's got a lot of room here to try and experiment in terms of what you do. And Chris, so often, we say it's easy to catch a guy. It's a lot harder to pass him. And Justin Morton right now needs to find another line if he wants to find a way around Aiden Young, because he is resolute up on that high side. He might have Todd Liston up ahead of him, but you know what? If you want to pass a guy, as Kenny Kibbe always says, you got to go where they ain't.
Well, that's very true. And I think what Justin Morton is doing is just trying to figure out, what is this track going to be like? What do I have to do to make a pass? Because look at how much he's closed the ground. He's right back there, ready to make a pass as he gets around lap traffic, throws it down on the bottom. Nope, that's not quite going to work. Almost hits an infield tractor tire. He's doing everything he can to find out, where is the speed on this track? What do I have to do to be able to make a pass? And that's going to prepare him for the main event.
Aiden Young's going to come out of turn 4 to get the white flag here. 1 lap to go. Aiden Young has been leading all this entire race. He's got Justin Morton hot on his heels, but I think Justin Morton's going to be a day late and a dollar short here in terms of getting that last final position he needs. He's going to throw it into turns 3 and 4, but nothing's going to take away the checkered flag here in the heat number 1 from Aiden Young.
Yeah, awesome job by Aiden. I got to say, Justin Morton, he might have backed out of that opportunity there at the end to make a pass. You saw him throw it up there into the pits right after he crossed the finish line. So I think Justin Morton was really just trying to figure out what the track is going to be like. How does he have to maneuver his car in order to put himself in the best position to make a pass in the main event as we get ready to go for the warm-up.
Yeah, so to just run you folks at home through the finishing order from that first heat, Aiden Young first, Justin Morton second, Jason Menda, Todd Liston round out the field, which means they're going to start 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th respectively. And now, Chris, it's time for the all-important opportunity for guys that qualified in the top 6 and automatically advance the feature to go ahead and get back out on track and see how much different it is than how it was when they qualified.
Absolutely. And here's what I do in the warm-ups. Before the A main is two things. Number one, I want to see where can I find speed when I'm by myself. But the fact is, unless you're starting on the pole, more often than not, you are battling for position. What I really want to learn in warm up is what is it like to run side by side with somebody. So I don't care about getting the fastest lap in warm up. I want to find someone that I can race with and find out, do I need to be on the bottom, up top, how can I make a pass, what's the way to do so cleanly and still keep my speed. That's how I use these few precious minutes that we have before the main event.
Yeah, because you get out there on track, you might be starting on the inside or the outside, even though you don't want to start in that lane. You just have to deal with it off some of these restarts, and a little bit of calamity there coming off of pit road for a couple of drivers. Justin Morton goes for a bit of a flyer, trying to get himself off the corner there. Some drivers there exit pit road. But Chris, right now, you know, the Professor John Hind calls it the ego sheet. Steven Spees right now top of the board, 5/1000ths of a second behind him in terms of fastest lap time. Brandon Proudfoot in the 22 machine.
Yeah, you know what I think about the fastest lap time in warm up? That's a $0 lottery ticket. Great for you. You won it. Gives you nothing.
Yeah, other than a boost of ego there, good job on you, and congratulations, but not really everything you need if you want to finish the race in that same spot.
Yeah, that's so true. And when you think about what I believe it was Aiden talking about earlier, which is, he's going for a championship here. So he wants to do well. Where he finishes or what his times are in warm-up doesn't matter so much as where does he finish the race.
Looks like we've only got about 30 seconds left here in the warm-up, Chris, so drivers, got to do their homework, see where the track is fastest. Again, two things you highlighted. Where can you run fast by yourself, and what do the other lines feel like in case you have to make a pass on somebody? But right now, it looks like everybody wants to be up at the top of the track.
Yeah, and this track looks different. There's not a whole lot of black slick. It's mostly gray throughout the bottom to top, at least what I'm seeing. That suggests to me that there's still some decent moisture almost anywhere that you want to be. That also speaks to the fact that these cars aren't as heavy as the super late models that we just watched. So I think there's going to be a whole lot of room for maneuvering and hopefully some good passing here tonight. That's what I would love to see with these cars. Over to you.
Thanks, Chris. And now starting to get our starting lineup here. Joseph Grandy qualified on the pole. James Tiernan starts to his outside in second with Brandon Proudfoot in third, followed by Steven Spees in fourth. Bruce Jones rounds out your starting top 5 positions, followed by Julian Valadez in sixth. Aiden Young is going to start in seventh, followed by Justin Morton, who rolls off in eighth. Jason Menda and Tom Liston round out your 10 starting positions.
This should be a lot of fun. Not a lot of cars here tonight. I think that's because some people find these vehicles challenging. It's too bad. I think the racing is good. I think with these 10 cars, we're going to have a great race here tonight.
Have to agree with you there, Chris. All 10 drivers now have their cars out there on the starting grid, so we should see that iRacing pace truck pulling away. And he's second. There he goes. So now, Chris, if you're Joseph Grandy, knowing what we know about this track and how dominant that top line has been pretty much all night, you're going to start on the inside or the outside?
So I am known as Mr. Aggressive. I would start at the bottom and throw it going into turn one and see if you have the guts to try and run me on the outside. That might be how I would start this race, not always the way that all would. but you might see that here tonight. It's, you know, it's kind of easy when you control the field to be able to get a jump on the start, whether you're inside or outside, so there really isn't that much risk. I expect him to stay on the bottom, but it doesn't mean that he won't go high going to turn 1.
Certainly, even if he does start on the inside, I expect him as well to go up there to the top side. If he can, in fact, clear James Tiernan, which shouldn't be too tall of an ask, given we are on him for these starts. So lights atop the iRacing pace truck are out. It goes to the outside of turn 2, goes off the track. Now puts the command of the field in the hands of Joseph Grandy. He's going to come off of turn 4 and put his foot on the loud pedal. Gets a really good start, though, for him. James Tiernan able to slide it behind, though, block off any kind of move that Brandon Proudfoot would want to put on. And look at the slider line that Tiernan is going to put on. He's going to get down to the inside, take away the lead here.
Wow, that was pretty amazing, running the bottom, and he's got a big challenge for the lead. Not what I expected. He did start the field the way that I wanted, but man, look at Tiernan on the bottom. He's got control of the lead at this point.
Yeah, I feel like for right now, that's Grandy kind of being caught out by just how fast that low line was going to be, and he's got to be really careful, too, that he doesn't get freight trained here by Brandon Proudfoot, who's right now on the bottom.
Yeah, without a doubt, this is completely different from what I expected. This is all about driver and throttle control. We've got a 3-way battle for the lead. Throw a blanket all over all of them, but my goodness, the bottom is working far better than I expected.
Yeah, the bottom's working a lot better than I expected myself as well. But to be fair, Brandon Proudfoot, one of those guys who pretty good all over the track, continues to get really loose down there on the bottom. That's why he's kind of slipped all the way back right now into the 3rd position. But boy, James Tiernan, he really seems to have this low line figured out to a T.
Brandon Proudfoot was pretty good in 3 and 4 on the bottom, less so on 1 and 2, but he is pressuring for second there again in 3 and 4. He's getting better drive off the turn in 4, not so much in 1 and 2 as Grandy gets ground on him as we go down the back straightaway. Still throw a blanket over the top 3.
Oh, man, now that top side is really starting to come in. Look at Joseph Grandy up top. He's going to draw even with Tiernan as they go down the backstretch. Look at Brandon Proudfoot trying to throw it 3 wide. Gets into the back of Grandy, who gets into the back of Tiernan. That throws Grandy for a little bit of a wheelie there. You see Proudfoot trying to take advantage. Doesn't look like he's going to be able to make too much of it. But, oh, look at all that momentum. Puts Grandy into the outside wall, and Steven Spees is there to get a piece of it.
And this is what I mean about backing it in. That's what all of those drivers were doing. It wasn't that anybody was being dirty. It's just that you throw it into the turn as hard as you do, and it's really easy for the guy behind you to climb your right rear, and that's what we saw. Brandon Proudfoot running the outside, running up a little bit higher than Tiernan. Tiernan staying on the bottom. Brandon Proudfoot to the top. We've got a great race here for first place.
Yeah, this is awesome. Tiernan right now has a 4/10 of a second, still on the bottom of the track right now, a little bit more so than anybody else up in the top 3, with the exception, of course, Steven Spees in 4th. He's also one of those guys, he calls himself a bottom feeder. He's down there right now, but Proudfoot continues to get a really good launch here out of the corners, Chris.
Yeah, Tiernan tried something different. The slider line there coming off of turn 2 worked for him, goes back down to the bottom in 3 and 4, gets a good drive. He's now starting to pull away a bit from Brandon Proudfoot. Tiernan down to the bottom, Proudfoot up high, gets a good run coming off of turn 2. He's got a big drive down the straightaway. He's going to go high, Tiernan low.
Yeah, Proudfoot getting a really big run there on the top side. It's the second time in a row that Tiernan came up off the bottom and blunted the momentum there of Proudfoot. They're going to go through turns 3 and 4 one more time. Pretty even through there that time. I think it's mostly because Proudfoot stayed there in the tire tracks at Tiernan. But look out, just up the road, a lap car. I think that's the 87th machine and Todd Liston.
They will be on lap traffic here pretty soon, but here's what I love. That is when a racer does not assume that it's all top or all bottom. They are not afraid to run the bottom in one turn and a top in the other. Tiernan figuring out where can he find the speed. He's running the bottom again in 1 and 2. Brandon Proudfoot on the bottom. Meanwhile, we've got Grandy going to the high side. He's starting to put pressure on Brandon.
I was just going to say, don't look now, but Joseph Grandy is going on the outside of Brandon Proudfoot. He ran him down in a hurry. Grandy right now putting down the fastest laps on the Speedway.
This track is amazing. It's almost from lap to lap, whether it's the bottom or the top. I don't know how that moisture moves around, but people are figuring it out. Oh, Grandy loses control. Brandon Proudfoot down on the inside.
He's hard into the outside wall. That's going to spell the end there for Steven Spees and Joseph Grandy. And Chris, You saw it happen. I saw it myself. But just talk me through what's going on there in the mind of Grandy.
Well, here's what I would be going through my mind. Damn it, I did that in practice, and it happened in the race. Because it does. It's like these cars are so touchy. You are always on, and if you want to be fast, you are always on the edge. And I have to believe that's what happened there with Grandy. You saw how fast he was in practice and qualifying and in the race. I think the car probably just rotated and then got out of control, and then everyone just piles in behind you. I didn't get a chance to really see the replay, but that's what I have to believe probably occurred here.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of curse words going on there. Poor Steven Spies, just an innocent bystander here. This is riding on board with Spies. You're going to see Grandy start to spin out. Just comes out and nails Spies right there. And I figured he was going to the outside wall for sure, but he somehow managed to save it. Hopefully, for Steven Spies' sake, he doesn't have any sort of meatball or maybe suspension damage on that 55 car.
The only thing that you're hoping for if you're Spies is that because this is virtual and not real life, is that you don't have damage, because in real life his car is destroyed.
So we're going to go back green flag racing here. Steven Spies in third place. That's Joseph Grandy now going to drop out of the top 4. James Tiernan still in the lead. Brandon Proudfoot in second. Look at this run here out of the 35 car. Julian Valadez on the top side. Goes powers around the outside. High, wide, and handsome of Steven Spies.
Wow, the top side has really come in. Look at Valdez. He could be putting pressure on the leader here within just a lap. This is unbelievable how fast this track has changed from top to bottom as far as where you want to be.
And Chris, I'm getting word here that these cars might be a little bit short on fuel, so it might be on some of these drivers' best interest to kind of just pedal this thing and coast a little bit more than they'd certainly like to. Try to see if they can make it all this 30-lap distance on one single tank of fuel. We're inside 10 to go here. This is when the pay window starts to open.
Yeah, that would be unfortunate if they don't have enough gas. Brendan Proudfoot running the bottom. Maybe he's starting to conserve fuel. Maybe he's letting up a bit. This is a very interesting race, not the way that I expected to play out. Spies making a big move.
Oh, look at him
charging
on the outside as well. You can put all 3 of those cars that battle for second place. They're 3 wide. Proudfoot's got clowns to the left, jokers to the right.
Wow, this is some phenomenal racing. We might only have 10 cars, but they are all trying to get to the top. Spies on the bottom, Proudfoot all the way up, almost over the cushion. Looks like we've got Morton and Liston battling as well.
Yeah, just up ahead of that 3 wide battle, you got Julian Valadez at the front of the field. Hopefully he saved himself enough fuel to make this thing all the way to the end. Second place, James Tiernan, both those drivers, 1 and 2, single file between them. 3 wide battle here for the third position. Proudfoot, Aiden Young, Steven Spies on the top side, all pretty much heel and toe.
Yeah, without a doubt. This is one phenomenal race here, going for a big battle here between 3, 4th, and 5th. Whoa, looked like Spies got a little over sideways there, over-rotated the car, gets it back underneath him as he tries to follow through Aiden Young.
They're going to cross the start-finish line this time by to get 5 laps to go. The high five from Barney the flagman. It's still Valadez, then Tiernan. Proudfoot goes a little bit wide, gets that car all sorts of squirrely. That puts him back into 5th position, puts Aiden Young and Steven Spies right now into 3rd and 4th, respectively.
And just before that, I saw Spies' front tires touch the back of Aiden Young. That slowed him down, but he's still applying pressure to Aiden.
Something
yellow on the track.
Something happened to Julian Valadez. I believe he got a little bit too sideways. I believe he got lagged out there or something. He steered down to the bottom of the track, and he must have alt F4.
No, he's disconnected. Looks like Julian Valadez somehow lost connection and is no longer with us here tonight.
It looked like just before he left, I feel like he must have spun down to the inside and alt F4 because I saw one car down there, and that could be the only thing I'm thinking because you can see him. He was down on the inside. I feel like he must have just lost the back end of that car coming off turn 4 and alt F4 or something because to leave like that soon, uncharacteristic.
And, losing the car that way is so easy to do with these. We're getting word here from our director that it looks like Valdez lost connection here tonight. It's so unfortunate, driving well. These cars, Boy, they're a handful, Austin. Like, you back them in, and there is a small window between backing it in and having control and spinning out.
Yeah, so the cause for caution right there. Jason Menda back into the corner. I did a couple of flips through the air. Luckily for him, he landed on all 4 wheels and was able to drive away. And from my side, it says Julian Valadez client manually disconnected. So we'll have to see if we get any more information on that from Julian as the race goes on. But lights are out atop the iRacing pace truck. It's off the track. Hands the field now in control of James Tiernan, that number 03 machine. See what he can do. Going to put his foot on the loud pedal. We're going to cross the stripe here with 3 laps to go. They're 3 wide behind them, all for second place. We'll see if James Tiernan can make it all the way in. Look at Steven Spies throwing a slide job.
Woo, big slider by him, and while he made the pass, he got passed on the inside. Look at is that Brandon Proudfoot down there on the bottom making it work?
Inside. Yeah, look at Steven Spies is going to see if he can't go around the outside. Aiden Young in tow behind him. But right now, it's still Brandon Proudfoot in the second position. All eyes now go to James Tierney. He's going to cross the stripe this time by to get the white flag. 1 lap to go. Started in second, got around the outside of Grandy. Then pretty much for what we're going to consider, just ran this race all the way to the end. His way was challenged for a little bit by Valadez, but he disconnected off of turn 4. Checkered flag here at Lucas Oil Speedway to James Tiernan. Steven Spies in second. Aiden Young's going to round out the podium. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to go through the full finishing order and talk to our podium finishers. We'll be right back.
And Jeff.
Pretty good start there for Justin Anderson in the 73 truck. That's Brian Young to his outside. Then number 86 truck.
You could have a bad night for sure and lose that big money. So got to be smart throughout this race. We've still got 113 laps to go here.
Certainly 2 wide battle here between the 89. Whoa, almost contact between the Johnny Benson throwback and the Matt Kenseth throwback, that being Guy L. Brooks in the 71 car on the inside, Brian Young in the 89 car on the high side. That time by, he almost did a pump fake, did Brian Young. He gets a pretty good restart, not quite as good as he did last time by. This time Blake Trawick is single file right along with Brian. Welcome back to Lucas Oil Speedway. James Tierney just took home the checkered flag here after 30 intense laps of battling with the likes of Steven Spies, who finished in second place, and Aiden Young, who finished in third. Justin Morton's going to come home in the 4th position, followed by Brandon Proudfoot in 5th, Chris.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. We had Bruce Jones coming home in 6th, Jason Menda in 7th, Todd Lisson 8th, Julian Valadez, who seemed to have some technical issues, come home in 9th, and Joseph Grandy finished 10th. Joseph Grandy was fast to start the race. A little bit of bad luck there.
Now standing by here with tonight's big winner, James Tiernan. James, you drove a phenomenal race there. Started in second. You had some challenges for a little bit, even lost the lead there to Julian Valadez, but you lucked out at the end, and you were just flying for the last couple laps.
You know, I knew fuel strategy was going to play into it, so it was one of the weirder sprint car races I've ever run. Kind of more akin to a Silver Crown race at like DuQuoin or something. But yeah, no, the pace was there. It was there the entire time. I just wanted to make sure, I had enough fuel for the end, and it looks like, Julian was pushing hard, and he just didn't save enough. I assume he ran out of fuel. I didn't see what happened to him, but strange one, but ended up working out in the end. But yeah.
I was just going to ask, what were you having to do inside the car to make sure you saved enough fuel? Were you just reading that black box of how many laps you had left in the car?
Yeah, I was trying to shuffle between kind of my fuel screen and kind of where my standing, like how many laps we had left. And I was just bouncing back and forth constantly trying to do the math in my head, which, granted, while you're trying to run a downwind car is not the most accurate, so I had to make sure like I saved a little bit more than what I even thought I needed to. So it was pretty interesting, pretty fun. Not what I was expecting. I was kind of hoping to go full tilt the entire time, but like I said, worked out in the end, so not too displeased with that.
For sure. Before I let you go, buddy, is there anyone you want to thank for your win tonight?
Absolutely. As always, first and foremost, I'd like to thank Roofco/Ergot Real Estate. Then I'd like to thank Anderson Speedway, Motorsports Beat, Jessup Logistics, Paints by the Tuna Can, BS Air, Over the Wall Photography, Catch Fence Apparel, Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, and Flow Racing. Then finally, I'd like to thank everything BRL does to run the National Sprint Car Trail, and thank you guys for throwing the broadcast on. As always, really enjoy the broadcast every week.
Anytime, buddy. Thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on the win.
Appreciate it. You guys have a good night.
That was James Tiernan. Took home the checkered flag tonight. And Chris, I believe you're now standing by with second place runner Steven Spees.
I believe so. Steven, you got a copy?
Okay, Chris.
Hey, Steven, awesome job here tonight. You were here in the dirt street stocks. You were fast in those. Then you picked up the win in the dirt super late models. And then a second place here tonight. I have to believe that you really like this Lucas Oil Dirt Speedway.
I really do. It's one of my favorite tracks on the service now. It happens to be probably the closest one to my home, and I've been here and visited and stuff. But that's not why it's my favorite. I really think it races really well. So yeah, it's just comfortable and it was a good night.
Yeah, that was evident. This is one of those tracks where it looks like, the top and the bottom, you can race both. It's a very racy track. You're also known in this league to be one of the best with throttle control. You demonstrated that in the dirt super late models. How is that playing out here tonight in these wingless sprint cars?
Yeah, I don't know about the best, but yeah, these cars as well as those super lates really are about throttle control. You turn them, especially these, you turn with the throttle. Once it's right up on that cushion, it's a little counterintuitive to get in these cars after some of the others because, you can turn it pretty sideways and you just mash the throttle and you just got to kind of learn the balance of it. And then you can modulate, your right foot coming off the corner to keep the car straight. But once you get it, kind of thrown around sideways, just like I said, use that big right rear tire and it just kind of pulls you around. And if you let up on it, it gets tight and you fly over that banking. So, it's an acquired skill, I suppose. But this is definitely one of my favorite cars on the service.
Well, great job. James Tiernan, who came down with a win here tonight, was talking a bit about saving fuel. Was that a concern for you tonight?
Yeah, we were 4 or 5 laps short of being able to make it full bore on fuel. So, I just spent the first half of the race trying to stay somewhat close to the front group, running the bottom, trying to save fuel. And then, with about 10 to go, somewhere in there, I felt pretty comfortable that I had saved enough and it was time to open it up. And, I believe Aiden finished third and, I kind of threw a slider on him on that late restart, but it was time to go. Hopefully, I think it's probably a good thing that we don't have chat privileges in the waiting room. He might have given me an earful, so apologies to Aiden. I haven't gone back and looked at it yet, but I know he squared up and gave me a tap on the bumper, which is dangerous to do in these. So I'm assuming he didn't appreciate that move, which is probably deserved. But hey, you got to go for it and get it when you can.
Without a doubt, it looked beautiful from our end as far as I can say. Well, awesome job here tonight. Once again, you demonstrate your skill with throttle control. Who would you like to thank, not only for where you're finished, but just for all that you do here on the league?
Yeah, I always like to say thanks to the folks behind the scenes. There's always a lot of people working on schedules and all you guys doing broadcast stuff and Ryan behind the scenes with all of his directing does a great job. All of the review team, that make this league work and make it a good, fun, clean place to race. And, I just do have to say thanks again to Aiden for maybe cutting me a break. I'll go back and look at it. But that was maybe my Mr. Aggressive moment, trying to do my Chris Davis impression and just go for it.
Well, Steven, thank you so much for being part of this league, what you bring to it, and for the show that you put on tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Steven Spees, the number 55, coming home in second place tonight. Back to you, Austin.
Thanks, Chris. Love that thing there by Steven about his Chris Davis impression. But I'm standing by now with Aiden Young. Aiden, second time getting to interview you tonight, buddy. Walk me through the race there.
It just ran out of time. Just wish that last caution didn't come out and maybe would have had a shot at the win.
Was it anything about maybe running the car too hard at the end or at the beginning, kind of just trying to make sure you had enough fuel to get to the finish?
Yeah, if you ran it too hard at the beginning, you probably would have ran out. But I saved a little bit at the beginning and just went, and caution came out and messed me all up.
Yeah, it always comes down to an ill-timed caution. But Aiden, before I let you go, who do you have to thank for bringing this thing home in third?
I just got to thank Cool Ray as always for being on the car. Sim Tracks for coming on board this season. Obviously, Gambling Motorsports, and obviously you guys for broadcasting.
Thank you so much, Aiden, for your time. Congratulations, buddy.
Thank you.
It was Aiden Young, brought the car home in third place tonight, rounding out the podium. If you want to catch the next BRL National Sprint Car Trail broadcast, it's going to go live next Friday, January 20th at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, where the Silver Crowns take on Richmond Raceway. Looks to be a phenomenal race. Love me some Richmond short track asphalt racing. The next VGN broadcast is going to be tomorrow, January 14th. We'll go live at 9 p.m. ET for the BRL Late Model Series from Myrtle Beach Speedway. Please join us then. I'll be on the track. I'm sure we'll have John and Soup in the broadcast booth looking to put on a great show for you folks at home. This has been a production of the Virtual Grip Network, and on behalf of myself, Austin Belke, my booth mate Chris Davis, and our director Ryan Seneker, as well as everyone else behind the scenes at VGN, thank you so much for watching, and good night.